Hey everyone! So today we're going to work on textures and how textures can look on an image or in our art. We can find textures throughout our house, but today we're going to use these textured templates. You can see that each side has a different pattern and it's raised up and lowered in these areas to actually create a texture. Even to the touch, you can feel it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our turkey coloring page out. And if you don't have access to this one, you can print one from getcoloringpages.com. And what we're going to do is we're going to create texture on every one of the feathers of this turkey. So I'm going to choose this one. It looks like brick, and I'm going to slide it underneath my picture. And I want to use my finger to make sure I can feel the texture underneath, make sure it hits all the areas. And then I'm going to use a colored pencil, but you can also use a crayon for this. And what I'm doing is I'm holding the colored pencil on the side instead of holding it upright, because I will get more surface area by holding it on its side, and it will actually create more of the light and dark of this texture. So as I'm going over and I'm coloring in this area, you can see the light areas and the dark areas, which are creating texture. And if you miss any areas, you can just go over with your colored pencil or crayon again and just rub it some more. So what we've done is we've rubbed a texture onto that feather. I can flip over my texture plate and you'll see that there's another texture on there. It's a little bit different. And I line it up and I use my finger to make sure it's there. And I'm going to start with a different color. Now this one might be hard to see on camera, but you'll definitely be able to see it in person. And you guys can choose whatever colors you'd like. Now we're going to do this for every single feather on this turkey. So go ahead and use your texture plates to make this really cool texture on your feathers. You might have to trade with a friend for a different texture. Or you can do the same texture on a different feather somewhere else. And just be as creative as you can with it. You might even want to add 2 different textures to one feather. But let's go ahead and finish all these feathers. Once you've finished coloring in all of your feathers, we're going to start coloring in our turkey. And we're going to make our turkey smooth, so we don't need any textured plates underneath it. We just need to pick out the colors we want to use and start coloring in our turkey. And let's see how they turn out. looks pretty good. Now just make sure you put your name on the bottom, and you are all done. So for those of you that don't have the plates to make the textures that we showed here, up in the feathers, I'm going to teach you ways to make it look like you have texture on your feathers without using those textured plates. So we're going to keep this as a guide, and we're going to get our turkey out and get our colored pencils or our crayons. Pick whichever color you want. I'm going to start with purple, and I'm going to use this as my guide. So I'm actually going to start with the stripes, the horizontal stripes. And I'm going to press down pretty hard with my colored pencil. And if you're using a crayon, you would want to press down pretty hard and stay within this feather. Now, as you get to the head of the turkey, we're going to have to separate the line so it looks like it's going behind the turkey head. So I'm going to make these little separated lines. And then finish it off on this side. And then once I'm done with pressing down hard for the horizontal lines, I'm going to lightly go over it with the crayon or the colored pencil, because that's going to create a texture. The light and dark helps create a texture within our artwork. Just like that. And then I'm going to get my guide back out from the other turkey. And I'm going to look around and pick a different pattern that I might want to use. And I like this star pattern, so it's giving me an idea to make some shapes. So maybe I could start off with a star and a circle, and maybe even a heart. Change it up a little bit. And I'm just going to keep repeating those shapes throughout this feather. And while I'm doing this, I'm pushing down hard again, because when I go to color it in, I'm going to color it in lightly. Now the other option you have is you could take something like cereal or macaroni and glue it down to a piece of paper. And once it's dry, like it is here, we can use this underneath our image in the area where the feather is. We might have to move it around a little bit because I didn't glue too many pieces to this piece of paper. This is actually a different art project I was working on. So you can see that it matches up underneath that feather. I can feel it with my fingers, and I pick out a color. And this time, I'm actually doing this a little bit more light. I'm not pushing down very hard, because as it goes over the cereal, it already makes it darker in the areas that the cereal is on. And again, you can move the cereal or your piece of paper on top over a little bit so it's covering the cereal. And you're going to see that it creates a texture on our artwork. And next we can go ahead and put it on top of the macaroni and see what kind of texture we get with that one. Once you finish with that one, you're going to go ahead and put texture or patterns on all the other feathers. And then you want to make sure that you color in your turkey without texture, and you'll be done.